first thing I like to do in any of my groundwork sessions is establish that the basic controls are correct. Your forward, your stop, your backing up, left and right. That the horse is willing and responsive, that it's a relaxed partnership. Float loading is essentially just a walk forward cue with effective control of the horse. So if we don't have these basics down pat now, I like to go back and work on them before we present to the float. I first met Macca when I was called down to load him. He was moving adjustment centres and his owners had tried for a full day before I got there.
Good.
Generally he'll get a foot or two onto the ramp and back up. May even throw in a rear or two, but essentially no way he was going into the float. And what we've done now is introduce the clicker to give greater reward for him going forward for giving us responses that we asked for. All through we've used pressure and release. The moment he's given to halter pressure we've released, but the clicker has now enhanced that even further. I think it's important not to rush these things. We gave Macca plenty of time to look around the float, to get comfortable. We weren't particularly forcing him in, just asking and giving the click reward for those movements forward that we wanted. Now during the early times, quite often he would just want to back out, and we let him. We weren't going to make this a stressful situation. We'd guide him back, walk out with him, and then pretty much straight away ask him to come back on. Occasionally, if we thought he wasn't quite listening, we'd just go to the back of the float and ask for some forward, stop, back, left and right, just to re-establish those ground controls.
So, moving back like that is just, it's not so much fear, it's like, oh, can I still escape?
So in this, our second hour-long lesson, it took about 15 minutes for Christine to have Macca in the float the first time. This is, I think, the second loading. You can see he's still just not quite sure. He'll back out again, that's okay, and we'll ask him back on. Now 30 minutes into the lesson, Christine's walking alongside Macca, asking him in. And in he goes. Now we're clicking for the major behaviours we like rather than the individual steps. We broke it down early on into small steps. This is part of phasing out the clicker rather than needing it continuously. We can just start to click when he's completely on the float. Now earlier on I haven't shown, but we were jumping around in the float making a whole lot of noise and racket. This was just to get Macca used to the rattles, the noises, and the centre divider coming across onto him. All that built to the stage where now Christine can move back happily, keeping an arm on him to reassure him, just move across the centre divider and then close the rump bars. Now about 40 minutes in, Christine is happily loading Macca. We continued to do this probably another 10 or 12 times within the hour. He's quite relaxed, he's quite happy with it. If he moves off to the side, it's not a problem. We control his head, guide him into the float, and give a walk-on cue. You note we're still clicking for those major behaviors, which is walking completely into the float. So after 2 1-hour lessons with Macca and Christine, we now have a horse that loads happily. He will regress, all horses do. It's just a case of being consistent with the cues, consistent with rewards, and giving him more exposure to the float. But I'm comfortable now that Christine can load Macca, take him to an event, enjoy her horse out and about, and put him back on the float at the end of the day to take him home. It's been a pleasure working with Christine and Macca, and I thank them for the opportunity. I'm Andrew Hennell from Relaxed Horsemanship, and I look forward to seeing you in another video fairly soon.